Hello guys, I am Andrew from Seoul Law Group and we are an English-speaking law firm based in Seoul, South Korea. Today we're back with another law video and we'll cover everything you need to know about choosing a lawyer in Korea. Choosing a lawyer is hard, wherever you are. There are many lawyers available in different price ranges and with different specialties. So how, from that vast pool of potential lawyers, do you choose the one that is best for your case? That already is a difficult enough question if you are in your native country. When you're abroad, it might seem like an impossible task. This is why many foreigners in Korea do not even know where to start when finding an English-speaking lawyer to help them with their needs. However, there are a few handy tips and tricks that you can use when choosing a lawyer in South Korea. When following these guidelines and with proper research, you will find there are many great lawyers available to you to help with your case. Lawyers in Korea. Law is a popular field of study in Korea, and it is no surprise that there are many legal services available in the country. There are small law firms that help with small cases, mid-sized firms for business troubles, and huge, well-known law offices that are pricey but come with a lot of prestige. Usually, small law firms or lawyers who work alone are specialized in one or two areas of law. Think about criminal law, divorce, labor, inheritance, business, etc., etc. Of course, this cannot be generalized because there are many small law firms that handle various fields altogether, just like they're not only specialists but also general practitioners among doctors. Mid-sized law firms often employ multiple lawyers that cover various fields, making it a larger and full-service office. Large law firms are usually well known for their top-notch service and work for huge companies and businesses. This, however, makes them a lot pricier. In general, a lawyer in Korea is similarly priced to the West. It averages around 150K to 600K Korean won or upwards per hour. The price depends on the attorney's or the law firm's reputation and experience, and mainly the size and difficulty of the case itself. Of course, as a foreigner, it can be very important that your lawyer speaks English. Even if you feel very fluent in Korean, legal terms are a whole other story. As law cases often are very important to your livelihood, it is key that you understand everything that is being discussed. Most major firms do have English-speaking lawyers, and there are also several small law firms that cater exclusively to foreign clientele. Smaller law firms are often great for visa-related matters, as they are specialized in the laws that pertain to foreigners. You can also make use of a translation service to translate Korean into English or any other language you choose. This, however, could come at an extra cost. It is also good to know that the Seoul Global Center offers free legal consultants for foreigners. However, they will not argue your case for you. Instead, they can advise you on the best course of action for your problem, what kind of lawyer to hire, where to look, and where to find legal translators. Choosing a lawyer in Korea. So, there are definitely many lawyers in Korea that can help you out. How do you go about your search? You can use this handy checklist to help you choose a lawyer in Korea. Right lawyer for your case. First, you need to understand the problem that is facing you and pick an appropriate specialist. You do not want a family lawyer looking at your corporate compliance issues. Like doctors, lawyers are specialized in a certain field. You would want a specialist because they will know the latest legal development and nuances. Start off by determining what problem is facing you. You can Google to see if people have had similar problems and what kind of lawyer they've hired. You can also ask your friends, family, business consultant, or accountant, depending on the situation. If you want to employ a large, prestigious law firm, you can also ask them for advice on what kind of lawyer is best for your case. Finally, you can also consult the Seoul Global Center for free for help with this. Experienced lawyer. Next, you should find out how much experience your lawyer has had in their field. You can do that simply by asking them for their record of experience and going over the cases they have won and lost. It is also a good idea to do a Google and LinkedIn search of the lawyer and law firm in question to see what comes up there. Also, explore the firm's website. Whether they have an English website or not is usually already a good indication that the firm has experience dealing with foreigners. This does not mean that a law firm without an English website does not have an English-speaking lawyer, of course. However, there is a difference between a Korean lawyer that is specialized in handling cases pertaining to foreigners and a Korean lawyer just speaks good English. If you have a case that is very specific to your immigrant status, then a lawyer that is experienced with foreigners would be a good idea. However, if your case is a common case in Korea, for example, pertaining to corporate compliance, criminal defense, or labor issues, a Korean lawyer that speaks English well would be just fine. English-speaking lawyer. This brings us to the next point. Look for an English-speaking lawyer or a law firm that offers translation services as part of the package. Besides what we mentioned above, the importance of lawyers in having dealt with foreigners, good communication is very important when hiring a lawyer. Legal cases are often difficult, and a lot of difficult terms and laws will be thrown your way. So, you need a lawyer that can explain to you what is happening carefully and precisely. Likewise, it is also important that your lawyer should be able to listen to your story and properly understand your situation. Even if you explained what kind of trouble you're in, it will be no use if the lawyer cannot understand your word. How do you know if your lawyer communicates well in English? Call them, email them, and meet them. Explain them your situation in English and see what kind of solution they come up with. Have them explain the entire process to you and see how you can get along with them. Their English does not have to be absolutely perfect. What is important, however, is that you understand what they are saying and they understand yours. Right approach for your cases. Some lawyers are aggressive, others are cunning and calculating. Find a lawyer whose style fits your case and personality best. You do not want an aggressive lawyer on a minor visa issue that will most likely not be appreciated by the court. However, in the case of a major criminal issue, an aggressive lawyer might be better suited to the situation. A small firm or a large firm. Whether you choose a smaller or larger firm depends largely on your preferences, your case, and your budget. As a small firm, you'll most likely work with only one person. This makes the costs lower, but there is less of a support network. Small firms are best suited for relatively simple and small cases like a labor dispute or a visa issue. Larger firms have a large support network, making them more suited to handle complex cases. However, they could be more expensive as you pay for multiple lawyers and their support network. If your case is difficult, dealing with corporate compliance or a severe criminal case, then a large firm might be better suited to your needs. Check the lawyer's references. When you're close to picking your lawyer, gather all the references you can and check them. You can often ask the lawyer or law firm for references too, but be aware that they usually provide only good references. Do a Google and Naver search and look for reviews of their previous clients. This is where Naver blogs come in really handy. Although they're usually in Korean, you can use Google Translate or Papago to translate them and read the reviews. Always look for the lawyer's name in English and Korean. Get clarity on staffing. If you hire a small law firm, you will likely only work with one lawyer who will handle your case from the beginning until the end. However, if you work with a big firm or have a complicated case, it is very likely that multiple attorneys will be working on your issue. From the start, ask how your case will be staffed, who will be responsible, and if any paralegals and support staff will be used. How much will it cost? Cost should definitely factor into your choice of a lawyer. Ask a lawyer to be upfront with you about the costs. How will you be billed? Hourly or through a contingency agreement? What will be the estimated cost? Will there be a discount if the case goes on longer than expected? Are there any additional costs for staffing or services? Get all of these questions sorted out early on in the process. Choose a lawyer that has experience with your region. This might seem logical, but nevertheless very important. Choose a lawyer that has experience working with the region. If your case is a local case, for example, about local labor law, make sure you find a lawyer that has experience dealing with Korean labor law. However, if your case spans countries, it is important that you find a lawyer that has international experience. For example, if your case has to do with customs, import duties, or international trade, a law firm with international experience is best suited for this, even if the case is brought to the Korean court. A professional lawyer. Koreans are well known for their professionalism and kind and service-oriented manners. Lawyers are no exception. However, some foreigners have experienced lawyers that were rude or uncommunicative towards them, whilst perfectly polite in Korean. That is why it is important to judge a lawyer's professionalism. Look at how they talk to you, how they prepare for meetings, and how seriously they take your case. Well, I hope this video was useful for you. If you have any questions or concerns about choosing a lawyer in Korea, let us know in the comment section below, and you can find more information on SeoulLawGroup.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on that notification bell for more Korean law related videos. And we hope to see you next time. Bye bye.